What's up, everybody? This is CMP with Craftmaster Productions and Mixyap.com. Today we're going to be working on making a modern trap track for 2018. The first thing when starting a track like this is you want to make sure that you have very good sound selection when it comes to the drums. When it comes to, when it comes to trap, when it comes to urban American genres, it's the first thing, very important. Most of the energy is going to be contained with the 808. Today I'm going to be using this sample here. That is a sample called Hissy Fit, and it comes from the Sound Oracle 808 pack. If you go ahead and search Sound Oracle on Google, you'll find it. It is, I think it's the best collection of 808s. Then the next sound that we have is a short release kick. And this is Boy Wonder Kick 4. This is actually a free kit that that you can find on Boy Wonder's site. It's the Boy Wonder Kit Volume 2. Kick 4 is an excellent kick. The next sound that I'm using comes out of a Jules Jadon kit. Pretty much everything that Jules Jadon uses on his site has a variation of this snare. And that's it's also known as the Young Chop snare. It's just the most popular trap snare that you could possibly use. Using a closed hi-hat, just a very simple, easy, short release hi-hat. It's always good to have some random percussion loaded up. Something that you can add in. Now, personally, when I'm making tracks, especially in Studio One, I like to work with audio. I don't like to keep everything in MIDI. I have a lot more fun working with audio, and I'm going to show you guys some of that today. So rather than have a whole bunch of VSTs loaded up, I have just my favorite VSTs. I have a Nexus, an Omnisphere, an Electra X, and a Contact. All right. So the way that I like to begin my tracks is I'll start out with a single MIDI region. With Nexus and the piano selected. I'm going to use the Nexus Grand Piano, and I just start with the MIDI region in the piano roll, a 4-bar MIDI region, and I'm going to set the vertical snap. This will make sure that you have I'm holding control and pressing the scroll wheel up, but this will make sure that you see how the blue notes are clicked in. When I click the scale function right here, how these turn blue, this will make sure that the only notes that I can play are in the scale of D minor. All right, and that's important because it makes everything so much easier. So I'm going to go ahead and just start a simple melody. All right, so let's do something like this. See what this sounds like. All right, so I like that. I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate that. Just press D. We have it looping. All right, so the way that I like to write the harmony and everything for the track is rather than go around and search for a bunch of instruments first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write everything in this one section in the piano, right? So let me go ahead and continue this. I'm going to start by drawing in a simple chord, just a regular triad chord. And the great thing about this scale quantized, to make a chord, all you have to do is you know, copy and paste every other note in the scale. So now I've got this going. Alright, so let me just duplicate this. And then, you know, when I have the foundation, now I'll just go ahead and make some minor changes and continue adding interest. And that's how you build off a small foundation and then make something complex, is just by keeping on creating simple, minor, subtle changes. You know, that's what a lot of people don't do when they first start out producing music, is they'll just draw in some notes, and they don't really just think to keep on going a little bit further and keep editing and editing and editing, and ultimately you'll make something that sounds really cool. All right, so I've got that. I'm gonna add, let's see. All right, so I've got a main melody, a counter melody, a chord progression. We go ahead and add some bass notes in here, just to get a fuller sound. All right, so now that I've got that all together, I've got what I'm doing now is I'm gonna look at these pieces that I have in different octaves. See, I have this in C4. I'm gonna be thinking about this as one instrument now. All right, this is gonna be another instrument. This is gonna be another instrument, and I might use this bass line, I might not, but it sounds good with the piano. And basically, this is phase one. I just write the harmony, the melody, put everything together. Now I move on to the sound design aspect of it. I'm sure you see plenty of tutorials where people just go through and pick presets, but if you really want to make something great and unique, you need to push yourself in your sound design to really stand out and make something that sounds cool. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to copy this MIDI region and keep one over here, right? And then I'll duplicate this out. Okay, and then in this first one that I select, I'm going to delete everything but that first melody. And this one I'll delete all that. And then this one I'll delete all those. And then this one here I will delete. Oops. And this one here, I'll keep the bass notes, right? Okay. So I'm going to go into Omnisphere and let's find a piano sound. See that already sounds good. But I find in Omnisphere sometimes the lower octaves sound a little bit better. So I'm just going to hold down Shift and press down. That'll take me lower one octave. Yeah, I like that a lot. So, like I said before, working in audio, I'm just going to press Control B and bounce this down. And see what this is going to do for us is it's going to save us a lot of CPU space. You know, Omnisphere is a extremely CPU hungry VST, and you know, it's gonna make working with this a lot easier. You make an idea, you commit to it, and you just move on to the next thing. So let's see here. Now what I'm gonna do for an extra effect is I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna unmute this. I'm gonna find another piano. Something with a long release and a lot of reverb, right? Okay, that's cool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this up an octave. Yeah, okay. And let me press Control B on the keyboard. I'm going to press Control R to reverse these notes. Actually, no. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to press 3, and because what I want to do is I want to reverse each individual note, but I don't want them to play the entire melody in reverse. You see? So that way the same notes are playing at the same time with the original melody. And because this is audio, just to be safe, I'm going to right click, go to audio, and select create crossfades. Again, I'm going to press Control B. That way it saves the crossfades and the computer doesn't have to remember them. That's going to save me a lot of CPU. Now I'm going to stack these together and start to create the sound of this song. Okay, so this is really loud. I'm going to use the mix tool to turn this down. Add another crossfade here. All right, you hear how that reverse melody just adds so much more tension and makes it sound a lot more just darker and aggressive. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to go back into Omnisphere, find a sound for this. some type of pluck, right? And I'm using the Keyscape Creative Library. It's a really good up-to-date library if you're trying to get, you know, like that 808 Mafia, Metro Boomin type of vibe. Okay, this is not a good sound. You know, I'm gonna press this button here to randomize this. Sometimes it makes it easier to find a sound. Echoes of Istanbul. Let's hear what this sounds like. No. Yeah, I like that. Just something nice in the background. Let me go ahead and bounce that out. Okay, perfect. All right. So now that I have those sounds out, let me go ahead and go ahead and grab something good for the chords. I like that for a layer. I'm gonna go ahead and bounce that out. And for some reason, Omnisphere does this in Studio One, where it sometimes doesn't bounce the first couple bars. If you ever run across that, a quick fix is just duplicate your region, okay, and then merge it, and then bounce. You know, bounce double the length is whatever you were having trouble with. And you see I'm missing the audio here, but it winds up capturing it right here, so that's good. All right. And I'm gonna go, let's see here, I'm gonna go back into Nexus and grab another pad to stack on top of this. You know, we're just trying to get a really nice full sound. So that's great. I can go ahead and bounce that out. We'll just go ahead and name these. The last thing we have is this bass, and we're gonna check. Maybe I'm gonna use an 808, so I'm not really thinking about a bass right now, but maybe it could work as a lead line. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna raise the octave up, you know, take it up to C4, see what happens. I'm just gonna make these. I'm just pressing D to duplicate them out. Instead of sustained, I'm gonna make them more of a staccato type, more short notes. I'm gonna make the last two longer, right? Give it some variation. All right, I like that. All right. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this whole harmony, I'm going to put it on a pad in Electra X, see what that sounds like. All right, I like that. I'm just gonna bounce it out real quick. All right, so now I've got everything where I pretty much want it as far as the harmony is concerned. So I'm gonna highlight all these tracks, select hide track. They'll still be around. I could still use them if I want, but just to make the workspace a little neater, right? So I could kind of, now I'm gonna work on getting a balance in between everything real quick. Just a nice little beginning of a mix. That pad, I don't need it to sound so bright, so I'm gonna roll off some frequencies using the stock EQ. Definitely don't need all those lows. Those are gonna clash with the 808. I'm gonna pan the pads since they're both doing the same things. This reverse melody right here, I'm going to use Guitar Rig. You know, because again, sound design, we want to make sure that we go the extra mile and just make sure that we make things sound like they aren't just stock instruments coming off, because everybody has these sounds, right? Everybody has these sounds, so you're not going to stand out using the same sounds as everybody else. Nice, much better. All right, let's see what we got now. EQ this mallet sound. This sounds, I can already tell it's got a lot of low end in it. Yeah, you see you got all this. We're not going to wind up using that. That's just going to clash with the 808. See how much cleaner that sounds as opposed to this? Alright, so now we can get to the fun part. We can go ahead and get some drums working. I'm going to go ahead and start with the snare. You know, we're working at 154 BPM, so the snare is going to be in double time, which is, instead of on the 2s and the 4s like you would in straight time, the snares are going to be on the 3 beats. Alright, next we'll go ahead and add the kicks. And for chopping up MIDI, I like to use this function in Studio One. It's called Split at Grid. You just set the you know, your quantized resolution, and then highlight a note, and it will split it at whatever you have had the grid set to. Alright, we'll move on to the hi-hats. Hi-hats, what I like to do is I like to start out with just a simple straight hat. Alright. Eighth notes, real easy. And I'll just kind of listen to where I think you know, a snare roll or a hi-hat roll to sound good. I'll set my resolution to like 16T. It's like right here, I'll hear one. I don't like that string that much anymore, so I'm just gonna get rid of it. And this is what I suggest you guys do, is just make a decision, stick with it. You know, that string was irritating me. I'm not gonna spend time trying to fit it in the track just because I made it, you know. Okay, we got this percussion right here. It's kind of like an open hat. I'm gonna use it like an open hat. Actually, that's in the context of the sounds, it kind of sounds percussive, or less. I mean, it kind of sounds more like a snare than it does a hat, which is weird. So I'm gonna kind of play it like a backup snare. Yeah, there you go. Use this pattern. Now I am going to find an open hi-hat though. See here. Cool. So now I'm going to go ahead and move on to the 808. All right. So the key is D minor. I'm going to set this to the root note of D. Just real simple. I'm using an octave here, just going up to, you know, D4, and then here I'm using the 5th note. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm gonna merge the audio parts together again. We're going to merge the events. All right, so working in double time, we have an 8-bar section, which would be a 4-bar section in straight time. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into the arrangement of this track. Arrangement, people overcomplicate it, man. We're just going to highlight this. We have 4-bar sections, right? So 4-bar intro, 8-bar hook, 1, 2, 3, 12 for the chord, or 12 for the verses, right? So all you got to do, you know, when you're arranging this stuff is, you know, I've got it zoomed out. I'm not really thinking about it too much. You know, the hook is pretty much going to have your all the sounds. Then for your, you know, for your verses, you want to make some small changes. You know, and we'll just these changes, you know, you don't have to commit to. You could just kind of listen to it, but it's nice. I like to just do something first, like this with the drums, and then give it a listen, and then from there the beat will start telling me, you know, what we should do. So first, all right, we need to, I want to take some sounds out here. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out the main melody. No, that is, I'm gonna do that here. Okay. So right here, I'm gonna get rid of this guy. And we'll get rid of these guys here. Also, when you use sample 1 to program your MIDI, you'll hear right here that sound kind of overlaps. So what I do is I right click on this and edit the bypass automation. That'll give you an automation lane, and then I just draw this in so that when the region pressing A to take away that automation view, right? This way the bass just cuts off like it's a mute. And then here, you know, as I'm arranging, I, you know, add subtle changes to the drums. You know, that's why I don't spend, you know, a whole lot of time programming the drums just in one pattern, because as I start arranging, then I start adding, you know, new things. Right here, I'm going to add some kicks. When you do things like this, this is how you get you know, a really complex verse section without having to make it, you know, necessarily hard to accomplish. You know, it's just you want to think about variations, especially in trap, with your drums, just very simple tweaks to each little 4-bar section, and then when you put them all together, you'll get something very interesting to listen to. And that's, you know, that's pretty much it right there. Now that you have, you know, you got a hook and a verse, you can just go ahead and highlight that, duplicate it. Again, highlight this part, duplicate it, and you know, you have pretty much a full song. You know, if you wanted to take it even further, what I like to do is the second verse is I like to change this first four bars even more. drop that wasn't there. Any little thing to add something new is going to make your beat sound more interesting, especially to a rapper. Yeah, all right. So everybody, to sum it all up, you know, when you're creating in the trap genre, American urban music, you want to first pick a great sounding 808. Make sure that you have quality drum samples from legit kits. Don't just go, you know, torrenting, you know, the Young Chop kit and, you know, the Lex Luger kit. All of those, those sounds are going to make you sound amateurish to begin with. Then you know, a great tip for working inside Studio One is just to create a whole harmonic backdrop using just a piano or an instrument that you're familiar with in a scale that you're familiar with, and then you know, breaking those pieces down per octave. Choosing different instruments, layering those instruments, converting it to audio. That way you don't spend too much time sitting here, you know, obsessing over this sound, over that sound, overdoing the sound design, you know, but also not underdoing the sound design. To do the arrangement, it's just focus on each 4 and 8 bar section and just make little subtle changes, and then once you string it all together, you're gonna wind up with something interesting. Remember to, you know, to make a beat that has very simple musicality, in order to make it interesting, you're going to have to, you know, add a lot of changes to the drums, but they don't have to be drastic changes. They can just be a series of very simple changes, and when you add them all up, it's going to be something that moves and evolves. So I appreciate you guys watching this tutorial. Keep it simple, don't be basic. This is CMP, Studio1Tutorials.com, and we will see you on the next one.